going to share something with you that is a little strange. I love a good funeral. In fact, of all the Jewish rituals, life cycle events, and customs, I am most proud of those having to do with death. This may seem incongruent for someone as joyful as me, but it is true. I cherish our customs around death, dying, and burial, and grieving above most everything else that we do. When I was a young teenager, my papa, my mother's father, Louis Schwartz, died. His death was expected. He had been ill for a few years, but when the news came of his passing, it felt like the world had stopped. Our whole family was completely wrecked. This was the first major person in my life to die, and it was a long, long time ago, but I remember the feelings as if it happened just yesterday. When a person loses a loved one, in those first few hours and days, it is so easy to fall into despair. A part of you has been torn away. A piece of our hearts breaks irreplaceably. And it is at that exact time that our tradition comes in, holds us, tells us what to do and how to do it. Without the rituals and the dear people who jump in to support us, we would feel lost like feathers on the wind. I remember my dad calling the kosher deli late on a Friday afternoon when the deli had already closed for Shabbat. Mr. Drexler answered the phone, and even with Shabbat coming minutes away, he did not rush my father off of the phone. And my dad placed an order for Shiva trays to be delivered to our house after the funeral on Sunday. Even at that young age, I was taken by how our community treated us with a different kind of gentleness and love. They sprang into action. They notified our friends and family. They organized the Shiva food and came bearing bundt cakes and cookies and meals of condolence. The funeral was basic and terribly sad. But most striking to me was its brutal honesty. The casket was plain, without any frills. The rabbi spoke about my papa's life and goodness without ever mentioning an afterlife. This funeral had no glossy finish. You could be sure of that with my Nana wailing so loudly throughout. But between my grandmother's cries and the rabbi's words, the reality of the loss hit me right in the face. And the sound of my own cries began to blend with my Nana's. I might not have yet learned the word catharsis, but that funeral, with the visceral feeling of rending our garments and the sound of the earth falling on the lid of the casket, the sounds of wailing children and spouses is the epitome of catharsis. Even the sound of my mother's trembling voice as she called out the words of the mourner's Kaddish pinned us down to that very moment of loss. How important and truly wonderful our tradition is, that it lets us really feel that sadness. As the words from our morning daily prayers say, Ashreinu ma tov chalkeinu, u'ma na'im goralenu, u'ma yafa yerushatenu. How beautiful is this inheritance of ours. Ma yafa yerushatenu. How beautiful this inheritance. Fast forward to my first pulpit in Austin, Texas. My congregation decided to form a Chevra Kadisha since there was no Jewish funeral home in the area. A Chevra Kadisha literally means a holy society, but it refers to the holy group of Jews that prepare and watch over the metah, the person who has died, before the burial. These two rituals are known as tahara, purification, and shmirah, which means guarding. My senior rabbi at the time, Stephen Folberg, gave me the opportunity of a lifetime to learn, teach, and lead a group of congregants on this holy journey. And serving in this way remains the most cherished and holy Jewish act I've ever performed. So here we are at Beth Am many years later. You know, when you have a wonderful friend who you click with in just about every way, That's how I feel about my friend Debbie. We just get each other. I've known Debbie Muckamall for a very long time, but when she approached me about 7 years ago about starting a Chevra Kadisha here at Beth Am, I couldn't believe my luck. Was it possible that Debbie felt the same way about our beautiful traditions around death, burial, and mourning as me? Well, I'm sorry to out you, Debbie, but you, like me, and probably most of the beautiful people in our Chevra Kadisha, all fall into this peculiar club. And I am beyond proud to call myself a member of our Beth Am Holy Society. So Debbie and I, with the help of Rabbi Martyr and Sinai Chapel's dear funeral director, David Habib, who sadly died only last month, formed our Chevra Kadisha, and we have been serving Beth Am with love ever since. So thank you, Debbie, for bringing this beautiful gift to our community. We are so grateful for all that you have brought us. Today, so why am I talking about this today? Well, today is Zayin Adar. Today is the 7th day of the month of Adar, which has a special legend associated with it. So the legend says that the 7th day of Adar was the day that Moshe Rabbeinu died. Moses died on this day. The Torah teaches that Moshe went with God to Mount Nebo to view the land that he was barred from seeing and entering. And Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were not weak nor his strength gone. God buried Moses in a secret place, and no person knows where exactly he was buried. And so, on this day, Zayin Adar, our tradition celebrates those people who serve on a Chevra Kadisha, and in essence, gives them the day off. Why? Because God took care of Moses' tahara and shmirah for us. So tonight, after our service, in honor of our Chevra Kadisha, we will have our annual Zayin Adar dinner, a feast to celebrate us. And Rabbi Nambi is going to be with us to teach us some of her Torah around these beautiful rituals. I should let you know that there is a custom among these Chevra Kadisha. And that is that you don't really tell a lot of people that you serve on a Chevra Kadisha. And the reason is because the work that we do, this mitzvah is known as a chesed shel emet, a true kindness. And it's one that doesn't expect any thank you. And so we do our work quietly, right? But tonight I'd like to sort of suspend that tradition in honor of Zayin Adar. We are Reformed Jews after all. And so if you have served with or currently serve on our Chevra Kadisha, I'd like you to please stand and be recognized by our community. And I know some people are viewing from home. Your service has truly lifted us and held us in love through our darkest times. You have raised us up in holiness through your wonderful deeds. So thank you. And so you see, we have so much to be proud of in our tradition, but I would argue that the way we care for our loved ones when they die and how we care for each other during our darkest moments are a crown of glory that brings true holiness into our world. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be so, and I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.